Right, so this was the missing piece that we needed for being able to handle a course. As I mentioned earlier, right? Whenever you have one, a client or JavaScript that is downloaded from one domain, the browser imposes a security constraint that only the same domain from where it was downloaded from is the JavaScript allowed to communicate with, right? If the JavaScript that was downloaded wants to send any network connection, the only place that it's allowed to talk to is the domain that it came from, right? And we just saw that it blocked us, right? If the JavaScript tries to communicate with anyone else, any other domain, the newer standards, the course standard, is that the browser will go and do what is called a pre-flight request, right? It'll go out to the server and say, hey server, there's a script that was downloaded from somewhere else that wants to talk to you. Is it okay? Right? And the server is free to say yes or no, right? And you need to be able to configure the server to say yes or no, right? Here we have used the app variable, right, that we are using to generate the gets and the posts and the puts, right? We are using the use middle tier. The use middle tier is a catch-all instead of get, post, put, delete, right? A use is a catch-all. Says for every request, right? It doesn't matter what you are, right? This is going to be handled. You're going to be intercepted. All the queries are going to be intercepted, and this is going to execute. All right. And what we're doing here is that we're passing the same request, the same response that we were using earlier, plus as a third optional argument that gets passed along, right? So what this third argument allows you to do is to string together multiple handlers for the same request. So if there's a request coming in, you can configure even Java or any server. You can configure it to have multiple handlers that handle the same request, the same incoming request, right? And you can string them together. You could say in Java, I think they're called filters, and you can create a chain of filters, and each filter can get the request, do some pre-processing, right? And if it's good, then they can just pass along the request to the next filter in the chain, right? And any one of them can abort the request and say, no, I don't like this request, and they can abort, and the whole request is aborted and sent as an error back to the client. Here in Node, you can do the same thing. In this case, there's a catch all the requests, and then at the end, what we're doing is we're calling the next function there. You see that? Meaning, whoever's next in the request, go ahead, right? Go and handle it, right? And I will pass along the request and the response so that you can also get a hold of it. So if we try and hit, any of these other services, the widgets, any of these, right? First, it will be handled by this use here. And what this use here is saying, basically, it's configuring the headers that are going to go back to the client and say, yes, right, you're good. I'm going to let you pass through. And we're saying if you are, we're going to allow the request to come in only from localhost 4200. Right? If you're some other domain, I'm not going to let you through. Okay? You can also use asterisks and say I accept from anybody. Right? You can say that I'm okay from any requests coming from anywhere. But it's more secure to say, well, I only want to accept from this particular one. And you can also provide here a comma-separated. You can provide a comma-separated string if you have multiple domains that you want to receive it. For instance, in your assignments, probably you'll want to accept from 4200, and you might want to also accept it from wherever your Angular is running, right? In Heroku. When it's running in Heroku, it'll be from the domain wherever it's running in Heroku. Yes? So you'll need to provide both here, right? Or you can say asterisk. That would work too. Although if you do asterisk, then you can't use sessions, secure sessions. Secure sessions force you to have a specific domain, right? If you want to be able to log in and things like that, they're a little more restrictive. And it says, well, no, if I cannot maintain a session if it's from anybody. Right? I need to know from where. Okay. The other things here is that we are returning also the methods that we accept. We accept you send me a post. It's okay for you to send me a delete, a put, whatever. Here we're accepting all the methods. Or you can restrict it. You can say, no, I only accept get and post. I do not accept deletes and puts, for instance. Here we're being generous and we're accepting all methods. Okay, and credentials. Okay, this one will be useful later on when we want to use session, like HTTP session. Here too, we're going to be using session in a minute, and for that to work, this needs to be turned on to true. Right. This means keep track of the cookies. Right. That send back cookies and the headers and whatnot. And if this is true, then this needs to be 4200. It needs to be an actual domain. It cannot be asterisk. Okay. Other than that, we're good. If we rerun this and go back to our client here, and notice that it indeed is now fetching the list of widgets. Let's make this just a little bit more interesting in the widget mock, and let's give a title here so we can. So this will be. Oh, there's text. Okay, we can use the text. So in the here we can just label just display here the text instead. There we go. Hello world heading 3, 4, and 5. Everybody good? Okay. All right. So we have the UI being able to go and fetch data from Node.js, right, and rendering it here. Let's move on. For instance, let's say we want to be able to delete, or we want to be able to edit, or we want to be able to create a brand new widget to be able to manipulate this content.